The hosts of PWF Empire Live will be evaluating the attributes of 3 selected wrestlers in a scenario where you can only push one, have to give one a new gimmick, and you're forced to fire the third in this edition of Push, Repackage, Release. This isn't a specific type of theme or anything like that. But if it was a theme, it would be people that WWE Creative has fucked over. And those 3 people are Wade Barrett, Bray Wyatt, and Cesaro.
To me, the guy who doesn't need to be repackaged of all these 3, and I will not fire, is Bray Wyatt, so I'm going to push him. Like, he has his character down pack. The only thing is he's not booked properly. There's no tweaking needs to be made with this guy's character. He just needs to be better handled. So I'll say push him. So it comes down to Cesaro and Barrett. Now, I've always been a Barrett fan, so as much as I like Cesaro, as much as I'm on that bandwagon, I am going to have to give him the shaft for Barrett, because I see Cesaro as a potential megastar, but I see Barrett as a potential megastar too, and Barrett can't wrestle as well as Cesaro, but he's a good wrestler, and he's a great mic talker. Maybe one of the best in the company if he had the opportunity, and he did a few years ago, as we all saw. I think Barrett has so much potential that never got tapped into. They scratched the surface of it on the Nexus. They kind of did it when he was doing the Barrett barrage, where he was like blowing through Randy, but he keeps getting injured. It's kind of unfortunate. So not wholly their fault on Barrett. So I'm gonna repackage Barrett, giving him too many dumb gimmicks. Since I mean, Bad News Barrett, funny and everything, but it's not a main event gimmick. It's just kind of a comedy skit.
Well, shit, now it is.
Well, now it now it doesn't happen.
Looking at Sheamus.
It got too over, so Bad News Barrett didn't work. King Barrett, also kind of cool as a lower mid-card act. That's basically it. Also, he doesn't win, so so repackage Barrett. I don't know how. I'm tempted to say, don't even give this guy a gimmick. His personality speaks for itself. He's one of those guys. Like, he doesn't need a character. Just give this guy the right motivation and the right kind of context, and he could just... You don't need to be able to describe him with a gimmick. You could just say, this is Barrett, and he could take that off. And I'll just have to release Cesaro. Actually, never mind. I'll release Xavier Woods, because that's...
What? He's not even in this. That's a low blow. A low friggin' blow.
This is a tough one for me. I like all 3 of these guys, and I could put any of them into any spot, and I think it would be justifiable in some way or another, but for the purpose of only choosing one route, I'm going to go with Cesaro being pushed, complete opposite here. If he can be as over as he is without that impressive of a gimmick, without that much of a character, then, man, it might sound like a repackage to some, but I think that what he is right now is fantastic. He doesn't have to be that much more. I mean, could there be tweaks done to him? Yes, but I would probably tweak all 3 of these guys, no matter whether I said push to any of them. So I'm going to go with push for Cesaro regardless. I think he needs the least amount of tweaks because he already is something huge. They just need to book him right. There's just, I could talk about Cesaro for 20 minutes because he's so good. I mean, the guy is over, and he's got strength that nobody else on this roster has. You could use that spin move to, like, you could go to the moon with that. He can have, like, strong man competitions with other, strong wrestlers on the roster in character. He can be a WWE champion anytime. I think Cesaro's got all the tools. Mainly a mouthpiece would be his biggest next thing, I guess you could say, that he could need. But like I said, I would probably tweak every one of these characters. So it might sound like a repackage in a couple of ways, but my actual repackage is probably going to go, oh man, this one's really hard for me, but I'm probably going to say Barrett repackage, and I know that might sound kind of surprising because I don't want to release Bray Wyatt, but with Bray Wyatt losing, I've got to go with my same old, like, 3 strikes, you're out, sit on the bench, Bray, feeling, because I think Wade Barrett also has a shit ton of talent. I've always been a huge fan of his. In fact, when he was on NXT Season 1, he was by far my favorite, even though I like Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan's Daniel Bryan, and we all knew him from the indies. Barrett was my favorite as far as character, as far as look. I just think that guy has untapped potential that could really be something like like huge. I mean, he could be a bigger star than Cesaro in my opinion too, because I think he has so many tools that I don't know how many other people on that roster actually have. So Barrett needs a repackage bad though. Like, so, again, the amount of tweaks Barrett needs is like you can't, 2 hands isn't enough to count them. Whereas Cesaro, like, they can work with what they have and still go with it. Barrett needs a lot of tweaks. He has had a lot of moments and points in time where he has just been a complete joke. And so, yeah, Bray Wyatt gets released, and it's only because I've had enough. And, honestly, I should probably have had enough of Wade Barrett because he's been around longer. But I've had enough because Bray Wyatt is honestly the best character in all of wrestling right now, or at least in WWE's wrestling right now, in my opinion. He's my favorite character of this generation. But 3 strikes and you're out, my friend. I'm not saying that he can't ever be any good ever again in reality, but for the purposes of this game here, he's going home because, let's be fucking honest, it's enough's enough. He always preaches, he always has something to say, and it never is answered. It's never actually lived up to. We've seen how awesome he is. He's actually single-handedly made feuds interesting, but despite all of that, he still ends up coming up a loser all the damn time. And I know Wade Barrett has, and I know Cesaro has. In fact, all 3 of these guys are. They're all losers to their own extent. But Bray Wyatt actually has, suspended my belief at different times, with like some of his words and fantastic promos and whatnot. Like, oh, why would you want any of that to go away? I don't want any of that to go away, but at this point, it's like his gimmick is just beyond repair. Like, I just don't see it as repairable right now, so that's why he gets the boot.
Okay, Evan, I actually agree with you. I'm done with Bray Wyatt as well, but I'm going to take a different approach to that than you did. I want to read an excerpt from a column that I recently released on pwfempire.com. It's called The Bray Wyatt Paradox, a Complex Character in the Simple World of Wrestling, Part 2. Go ahead and check it out, but I'm going to read an excerpt for you right now. This is my description of the character Bray Wyatt. The character that is Bray Wyatt operates under the objective of ridding the world of the same infected elements of humanity that cause him to be shunned from society. He employs a scorched earth strategy on a quest to fulfill his agenda, wreaking havoc on dual fronts: physical harm and psychological warfare. In addition, the eerie mystique that encompasses him has attracted a cult of indoctrinated ruffians that execute his will at a moment's notice. On paper, that is fucking awesome. When I tell you guys that WWE does not deserve Bray Wyatt, the awesomeness that is that guy, I mean it. There is no reason at all, no logical reason in heaven or hell that Bray Wyatt is not a much more dominant force in WWE, with the fact that this guy is physically imposing, psychological warfare, all of that great stuff, plus the fact that he has 3 giants on his side. There's no reason in the world why he isn't more important on the roster at this point. So you know what? Here, I'm going to do something about that. So I am pushing the entire hell out of Bray Wyatt. I firmly believe that the character is perfect. It's just that the booking is the issue. And in this situation, WWE Creative isn't in charge. I am. And I'm strapping a rocket to that guy and sending him to the friggin' top. When it comes to Wade Barrett and Cesaro, this is very tough. I used to be a huge fan of Wade Barrett. There was a point in time, I believe it was 2012. Thanks, Charlie, on that one. But there was a point in time where I said, I will accept nothing less than Wade Barrett either A, in a world championship match at WrestleMania, or B, challenging the streak. Now, if that doesn't show you how big of a fan of Wade Barrett I am, I don't know what will. But where he is right now, I don't care too much for the guy. As far as Cesaro is concerned, that guy's stock is rising with me each and every week, or at least it was before he got injured. But him being injured, it doesn't really matter here. I'm going to judge them based off of the talent, the potential that both of those guys have. With that being said, I am going to repackage Wade Barrett and release Cesaro. I'm going to repackage Wade Barrett and make him become a hybrid of 2 different characters that he played. I would love to see the return of the Nexus. Wade Barrett, the way that he was so cunning, so intelligent, so amazing on the mic, all of the charisma that he displayed there. And I want to see the bare-knuckle brawler Wade Barrett return. WWE a few years ago, when he came back, I think he was injured or something like that. They did vignettes where he was fighting in an underground Fight Club or something like that. That's what I was talking about earlier with the characterization, the stuff that's missing. But yeah, they did those vignettes where he's fighting in like an underground Fight Club. Like, if you get the combination of an intelligent character intelligent character that could dress you down on the mic and then beat you down in the ring, that is the best of both worlds. The guy is smart, the guy is cunning, and he's rough as hell. I would love to see that Wade Barrett in WWE, and unfortunately, Cesaro does get the boot for me. I like the guy, he's so dynamic in the ring, but when it comes to these three guys, he just doesn't make the cut. And we'll love it if you guys shared with us your thoughts on Push Repackage Release, your thoughts on what we said, and your own personal ones. I know people are going off. They were going off on you, Steven, about releasing Cesaro. I'm pretty sure I'm going to fall victim to it, too.
I released Xavier Woods, not Cesaro.
That does not count. Xavier Woods is not in this. Oh, my God. You're so unfair. What are you doing with Cesaro, then? Where's he?
He's in rehab.
I know where he is, on injured reserve.
He can't compete in this.
Yes, he can. This is a fantasy world. That his injury does not matter.